investing.
Now here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
All right, this 5 o'clock hour, David Hellman joins us, DallasCowboys.com, team cutting their rosters, the official 53, and of course it'll be changed quite a bit over the next few days and eventually throughout the year. David, was there anything in particular? I know there was talk about who the backup would be at quarterback, and of course that's important. It's like the vice president. But anything in particular, somebody who didn't or did make it that caught you by surprise or surprised you?
To be really honest with you, not really. I think this is about as straightforward a year as I can remember, where it seemed pretty obvious. I mean, maybe some quibbles here and there with some of the down the roster guys. Simi Fehoko, the rookie receiver, he made it. A couple of the young defensive linemen. But then, as you mentioned, I mean, I think there's as many as 10 more roster moves coming with everything that they still need to do. They've got about 6 guys that they want to place on IR. They'll be able to do that tomorrow after they've been on the team for a day. There's 4 or 5 guys coming back from the COVID list. So really, this is a rough draft, basically. I think the roster is going to change quite a bit. And, with all of that in mind, I think it's pretty straightforward right now.
Yeah, I would think, David, the only 2 players that I was a little bit surprised about, and one was Garrett Gilbert losing to Cooper Rush, just because we kind of assumed that Garrett Gilbert was ahead of him early in camp, but that clearly flipped, but there wasn't much separation. And then Darian Thompson, who was so good on special teams for them. But again, if you like your younger guys better than him, why not give the younger guys a shot?
Yeah, no, I think you're dead on with that. The Gilbert one is definitely surprising for me, but I think, the writing kind of started to show up on the wall there the last week with giving Cooper Rush the starter reps. And then at the end of the day, I've said I probably would have kept Garrett Gilbert, but I mean, I think we're splitting hairs when we're talking about these 2 guys' resumes. I don't think you feel particularly good about either one of them being your backup. So, if they like Cooper more than Garrett, good on them. Darian is interesting, though, because, we know that special teams coaches have a lot of sway. They have a habit of really getting to keep their guys. But then, you look at the roster, C.J. Goodwin's still here. He's your special teams ace. You keep guys like Dorrance Armstrong and Luke Gifford who can help out as well. I wonder if Mike McCarthy was kind of like, all right, guys, like how many special teams guys do we need? And I think Darian might have been the odd man out because of that. I wouldn't be surprised if he winds up on the practice squad, though.
David, who all will be coming back from that reserve COVID-19 list? There's CeeDee Lamb, there's Connor Williams, there's Noah Brown, DeMonte KZ. Is there somebody I'm missing or anybody else?
Connor Williams, I don't remember if you said that. And then Carlos Watkins, the veteran defensive tackle, are both there. And Noah Brown just got added to the list in the last day or two, so he should be down for a little bit. But the rest of those guys, I would imagine, can come back as early as this week. And I definitely think that was a little bit intentional on the Cowboys' part. Those guys don't count toward your roster limit, so that gives you some room to finagle all the other roster spots without those guys counting against it. So, yeah, I mean, it's a big jigsaw puzzle that they're kind of working through right now.
Does that basically mean, like, because those are 5 guys and there's 6 guys they want to put on IR, they can put those 6 guys on IR, bring the other 5 guys back, and then re-sign Jake McQuaid? Is that the 6-for-6 deal right there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, McQuaid is, they did this with Joe Thomas last year. It's purely ceremonial. You typically come to an understanding with a guy like that where you say, hey, we're going to cut you for 24 hours. We'll make an arrangement with you, and you'll be back on the team in time for meetings later this week. And that allows you, and again, you want to do that with a vested veteran. If you have 4 years of accrued experience, you don't go through the waiver system. Whereas, if they were to cut a Simi Fehoko or a Bradley and those guys become subject to waivers where every other team in the league has a shot to take them from you. So it's just a little accounting trick that helps you cut your roster down without exposing your developmental players.
What are your thoughts about a couple of the other moves around the league with Cam Newton and perhaps a couple of other things that went down?
Yeah, I mean, Cam was the really surprising one, but then you think about it, and, I don't cover New England, so I don't know the ins and outs of it, but, for starters, if the battle really is that close, and it certainly seems from a distance like Mac Jones was pretty good in training camp, you probably don't want a former NFL MVP breathing down your rookie's neck while he's trying to do his job. I don't know if that's conducive to his success, knowing that he's one bad quarter away from having a guy like Cam Newton come in. And then if you really like Cam Newton, which Bill Belichick seems to, you probably want to do him the favor of not subjecting him to being stuck as somebody's backup and go give him a chance to find a better option. And I'm sure, if I had to guess, I'm sure his vaccination status played into all of it as well. But, it's surprising on the surface when you hear that a former NFL MVP gets released. But when you kind of start thinking about it, you're like, yeah, this is probably mutually best for everybody. Like I said, the Patriots don't want him in Mac Jones's way, and Cam would probably rather seek out a better opportunity.
David, back to vaccination statuses for a minute. I mean, Cam's little suspension cost him reps in practice, and you see what happened with the Vikings. Jerry Jones, very adamant that he wants the team to be at 100% vaccinations if he can help that. They were at 93%. I think that's what he said in his radio hit last week. Do you see that number going up, obviously, with guys getting cut today?
That's a good question. To be honest with you, I don't know. I think, you kind of hear through the grapevine, you have a good idea of who's vaccinated and who's not, especially, when you see who's wearing masks on the sideline and who's not, but that's not exactly a scientific method of determining it. And I do wonder, I said this on Twitter earlier today, is if you're not vaccinated by now, it's probably because you have a pretty high level of confidence in your ability giving you job security. If you're a guy that can be cut without really thinking about it, it's probably not in your best interest to not get vaccinated. But, star quarterbacks and star pass rushers, if you're bound and determined not to do it, the team's probably not going to cut you anyway. So I wonder if we're maybe, and I like I said, I don't know this in regard to the Cowboys, but I wonder if maybe we're going to see the number go down because there's probably at least a handful of guys on some of these rosters that don't want to get vaccinated and are too good to cut.
David Hellman, DallasCowboys.com. So now let's get to the nuts and bolts of this. They have a week and a half or whatever it is to get themselves ready for their opening game against Tampa Bay. David, what is, in your opinion, the ceiling of this team, and what is the bottom of this team as far as wins and losses, 17 games? I know that's kind of boring, but just kind of a feel from you.
I mean, I don't even necessarily think it's boring, and I'm not trying to be a wuss and not take a side, but last year demonstrated to me how impossible that really is, because I've never felt as good about a team, really, just in terms of the talent that I thought they had than last year. I thought the Cowboys were a 12 or 13 win team last year, and obviously they were very far from that. And, going back a few years, some of the teams that I've had the lowest expectations for have been the best. So, shoot, if they're down 2 tackles a month into the season and lose Dak Prescott, they could be pretty terrible. If everybody's healthy, I certainly think this is a team that should win its division. I don't think they're the best team in the NFC. I think Tampa Bay, Green Bay, and maybe the Rams are all a step above them. Probably throw the Seahawks in there as well. Shoot, maybe even the 49ers. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think they are an elite NFC team, but I think they're probably good enough to win 10 or more games if they catch the right breaks. And, yeah, if they stay healthy, I think they should get to host a playoff game. And from there, who knows?
Thank you, David. Appreciate it.
They're no Bishop Sycamore.
Yeah, they're not Bishop Sycamore.
No,
they're
no.
real. They're a real team.
Thank God for Bishop Sycamore, though.
Yeah.
What a story.
Yeah, absolutely.
Man.
And
David, if somebody called you up and said, I'd like you to play high school football right now, we think we can pass you off, what would you tell them?
I promise you can't. Hell, especially. I mean, if you want me to play IMG, which is basically a feeder school for the elite college football programs, no way in hell would I do that. I got better things to do than get myself killed.
Thank you, David. Appreciate it. David Hellman, DallasCowboys.com, with us on Tuesdays in the 5 o'clock hour.
Greatest, worst story ever. I mean, just everybody's laughing. It's brought people together to just laugh at Bishop Sycamore. And, I'd feel sorry for the kids too, but like they're junior college age and they're pretending to be in high school, so I can't even really feel bad for the kids because it's not like they're super young and impressionable and don't know any better.
Yeah. And look,